Hey everyone, my name's Megan, and today I am going to be going over my 2015 TBR/reading goals. So this past year for reading was pretty good. I think I read around 120 books, and I tried a lot of new different mediums like graphic novels and manga. I read a lot of new things for the first time, and I want this year to be the same way too. So first I wanted to say some things that are going to be happening with my channel. I am planning to get a new camera soon, which will be very interesting. I'll have to do a whole new setup and such. Another one of my goals is to be more accessible. So I am not into Instagram or Twitter. I'm into Pinterest, and I like looking at things on Tumblr, but I've never actually tumbled anything before, if that's the expression. And so that is going to be my it's going to be a new avenue I go down because I think it would be worthwhile to learn it. That all being said, my first goal when it comes to reading is to read 100 books. I'm going to set it at a fairly realistic level. I'm starting grad school in the fall, so I don't know what that's going to do to my reading come September, but I think I can still make it to 100. The second goal that I have is to buy less books and to therefore lower my TBR pile. This is a pretty common goal, I am sure, with everybody. Also, I am kind of running out of bookshelf space, and if I got another bookshelf, I think somebody that I'm living with would murder me because we are running out of room already. Goal number 2, also sort of in concordance with the goal I just mentioned, I only plan to go to the library during summer vacation this year. So between the months of May and August, this is again in an effort to lower my TBR pile. Goal number 4 is regarding series completion. I want to complete the Wandering Sun manga series. I think there's about 12, 13 volumes. I'm not sure. I'm probably way off from that, but also the Royal Diaries. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they are a series of fictional diaries about women rulers, and I've read most of them. I don't know how many I have left to go, but yes, I'm going to finish those too. For my 5th goal, this one's pretty exciting. I'm going to be rereading the Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events series, and I will be doing it with my boyfriend Matt, who has never read them before. So I think we're going to read 1 book a month, and since there's 13 books, read 2 in 1 month, somewhere along the way. I am really excited about that. I created goal number 6, the final goal, due to the fact that I will be attending library school this September. I've decided that I wanted to read more classics so that, number 1, I could read them and be able to talk about them to people, but also so that I could finally say that I read them and get references, in everyday life as they occur. So the way it works is I will be reading 1 classic a month in addition to whatever else I have on the go for my TBR. I selected them accordingly so that the bigger, thicker books are going to be more in my summer months and vice versa. So for this month, January, I will be reading The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. This book came out in the 60s. It was revolutionary in terms of its content. I want to say it was a very controversial book and semi-autobiographical about a woman's down spiral into insanity. I am actually really stoked to read this because I've seen it everywhere. I've heard it everywhere, but I'd never seen a physical copy of it until now, and I didn't realize what time period it was from until I read the back. But yes, I'm really stoked to read this one. For the next month, February, I shall be reading 1984 by George Orwell. I read Animal Farm last year and loved it, and I think he has the potential to be one of my favorite authors. He is the favorite author of Ariel Bissett, whom I also love. And this book, I believe, is dystopian about a time where it would have been in the future at the time it was written. I don't know too much about it, but I believe it's a world that we do not want to be in. So I'm really interested to see how this is going to play out. The next book for March I do not have yet, but that just gives me an excuse to buy it, and it is Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. I am really excited to read this. I believe it is a coming-of-age story about a boy who has a hard-knock life or something like that. Yes, I know I don't know the full story out of all of these, but I think that is a good thing because then that means I will read it and find it all out for myself, and it will be fresh and new. The next book, which is for April, which I also do not have yet, is Oliver Twist by Charles Dickens. This is a story most of you probably already know about a little orphan boy who gets thrown into some very tough circumstances in England in the 19th century. I have never read any Dickens. I started A Christmas Carol this past December and did not get to finish it. I'm going to read it next year fully, but I figured this was as good a place as any to start with some Dickens. After that, maybe I'll read Great Expectations and David Copperfield and A Tale of Two Cities. I would like to very much because I know they're huge classics, but this is a good place to start in my opinion. For the month of May, I will be tackling this monster, and it is Gone with the Wind by Margaret Mitchell. I have my beautiful, beautiful, beautiful edition, and I cannot wait to read this. If you're not familiar with the story, it is about this lady, Scarlett O'Hara, who is a bit of a floozy in her teen years. She's very flirty, and she goes through a series of marriages and ends up with Rhett Butler, and their love story is one very legendary. I've seen the movie. I love the movie. It was Vivien Leigh and Clark Gable, but I've never read it before, and I think it's going to be fascinating. I know this is a very highly revered story, and yeah, I'm very excited to take this one on. For the month of June, I also don't have a copy of this book, but for all these, I have a copy in mind, and that is why I am showing the copies that I want right here. And for the month of June, it is Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. This is a story of the Dust Bowl era, the Great Depression of the 1930s. I've seen the movie with Henry Fonda and loved it. I have read Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck, and I can't say I loved it, obviously, because it's not the most happy story in the world, but I did appreciate the writing, and I'm excited to read this and, read about their hardships because I know it's a really significant American novel. For the month of July, I will also be tackling a huge book, and it is Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. This is a wonderful edition. It is the Oprah's Book Club edition, which I understand to be a lot more comprehensible and easier to get through than some of the more direct translations that are cheaper and easier to find. Well, I found this at Valley Village, I think it was, or some sort of secondhand store, but whatever, I don't care. It is a lovely edition, and it is the story of a woman who, I believe, herself goes through a series of misfortunes and problems and does stuff with one too many men. I saw the film version with Vivien Leigh. I've not seen the Keira Knightley version because I try to avoid Keira Knightley unless it's in Pride and Prejudice. This is a Russian classic, and I cannot wait to read it. The next book for the month of August is going to be Jane Eyre. I cannot believe that I am 23 years old, yes, I've said how old I am, and have not read Jane Eyre yet. I have read almost all of Jane Austen's works, and she is my favorite. She's my girl, but this, I have seen the 40s film version with Joan Fontaine and Orson Welles, and love it. I love the story. I want to read the full story, and this is the edition that I plan to buy it in. So this is a story of, well, she starts out as a young girl living in an orphanage, and then eventually gets a job in her late teens, early 20s, teaching as a nanny for a little girl that lives in this big castle-like mansion, and the owner and father is a very mysterious and sometimes kind of hard-ass man. And yeah, it is a mysterious, but at times touching love story, and I think that I will enjoy it. In the month of September, I plan to read Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain. I've never read any Mark Twain before. I know it's about a boy, and I believe he has adventures with his cousin Huckleberry Finn, and I don't know too much beyond that, so I am interested to find out what happens. For the month of October, I'm going to be reading Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Yeah, this will be interesting. I've never read this book. I figure it's appropriate for the month of October. If you don't know the story of Frankenstein, I believe there's a creation involved, and there's a whole "it's alive" thing happening. And yes, I don't suppose it will be a very happy book, but as I understand it, actually no, I have no idea about the ending, so I'll be interested to find out. Getting closer now to the end of the year. For November, I'm going to be reading Peyton Place by Grace Metalius. From what I understand, it is the story of scandal, and from our standpoint, it is a laughable scandal because it's the 50s, and at the time, it was a highly controversial book because it, implied sex and such goings on as that, but it is also an American classic novel, and I believe it's about teenagers and young people, and so I'll be very interested to read what happens there. And finally, for the month of December, I shall be tackling on Virginia Woolf by reading Mrs. Dalloway. I love this edition that I have here. It is very nice. It is the Vintage Classics edition. So this is about a woman, I believe, who goes out to buy flowers, and it just all takes place in one day. Clarissa Dalloway is her name. I have wanted to read this book ever since I watched The Hours, which came out in 2001, starring Julianne Moore, Meryl Streep, and Nicole Kidman in the title role. She won an Oscar for that performance. But anyway, this story ties in with the three of them. And I don't know too much about the story itself, except that I believe it all happens in just one day, and just really interesting. Yeah, her house is flooded with memories. She's giving a party. I can't wait to see what the story holds and if I will become a Virginia Woolf fan. And that's it for my book goals. I did forget to mention that another new thing I'll be doing with my channel is I'm going to follow in the footsteps of Ginger Reads Laney and Lindsay Ray and other booktubers and start doing a Top 5 Wednesday, only mine's going to be different. It is going to be about books and movies. I'm going to alternate. I have so many lists prepared already, and it's going to be called Top 5 and 10 Wednesday, you know, like the 5 and dime store. Because I'm going to be doing top 5 sometimes and top 10 sometimes, but I hope to start that off with this Wednesday. It'll be a pre-recorded video. Actually, you're going to see another pre-recorded video. It'll be my December wrap-up in January TBR that I had to do back home, and this is the first time, that I'm back in my apartment in 2015. So anyway, that is the plan for the next little while. I hope it's something that you guys will enjoy. So thank you so much for watching this video. I shall see you soon with my part 2 of my Christmas book haul, which I am so excited to do. The book should be arriving any day now, and I cannot wait to share them with you guys. So that is it for me. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and guys, have a wonderful week. I shall see you soon with a new video. Bye, everyone.